Hello and welcome to the second episode of T With Tomás, the only fashion podcast in the world. Actually, that is a complete lie. There's actually many fashion podcasts. There is the Cutting Room Floor, which is way more professional than whatever this is. And then there's also the one with like the two straight guys. But this is a brand new fashion podcast coming from me to you. This is going to be a more of a video podcast because I don't know how to upload that to Spotify yet. So in the meantime, watch this, close your eyes. It's like you're listening to a real podcast. We have so many topics to talk about today. I have my notes app here as always, and I'm actually recording this before I even upload the first one. So if you guys didn't like it, then you're out of luck because here's the second one. So let's get into it because there's absolutely no time to waste. So we have a lot of topics to cover today. I'm really excited. I feel like I'm going to deep dive a little bit here. The first topic I want to talk about is image direction within fashion, specifically celebrities. I was having a conversation with my friends and we were talking about what's that celebrity that has like really good style that, you know, whether it's organic or not organic, who has really good style in the game right now. And I think there's a lot of emphasis on celebrities having organically nice style. For example, who do I think that is? Chloe Sevigny. Chloe Sevigny is a fashion girl through and through. Her whole shtick, she's always been into fashion. I mean, does she need a stylist? Maybe to help pull the stuff that she wants. For the most part, she can style herself. She can dress herself. She obviously has great style. Versus, you know, Kim Kardashian, who might be on the pulse of fashion, but necessarily still needs a little bit of help or push from another viewpoint to kind of get herself there in the fashion space. So one person I think actually has like a great brand direction, and you guys might drag me for this, is Kendall Jenner. So I actually think I'm one of the few people who actually give Kendall like her flowers. I think Kendall Jenner has such cool style. I don't know if you guys are being like, literally, no she doesn't, but like, so Kendall Jenner, obviously I don't think she dresses herself. She's a creative director of Forward, whatever that means. She's a creative director Forward, but I think she still has a stylist to help her pull, kind of how like Hailey Baldwin has a stylist. And I find that the reason I do think she's quite cool is because I think her style kind of aligns with mine. If I was a girl, I don't know, does that make any sense? But if I was like a tall, lean girl like Kendall Jenner, I would probably dress like her, like how she does anyways. Not that I can't dress like her, not like I can't dress like her now, but you know what I mean? If I look like Kendall Jenner, I would probably like dress like that anyways. But I know that she works with a stylist, and my friends always say like she has such bad style, but like genuinely I do think Kendall Jenner has really great style. And at what point are we ignoring the inorganic of someone's personal style and just giving them their flowers for looking good for leaving the house? You know what I mean? I feel like we're always very scrutinized against Kendall Jenner, but if Kim Kardashian leaves the house and she's really well dressed and we know it's not by her doing, then we think, oh my God, Kim looks so good. You know, I just think it's interesting how we as fashion fans tend to like kind of pick and choose who we choose to give credit to. Like, obviously Chloe Sevigny is one of the coolest girls out there and she dresses herself and she has such cool style. But what if Kendall Jenner popped out in a Chloe Sevigny-esque look? Would we be giving her those flowers as well? Anyways, someone else that I think has great image direction right now is Cyrus. I am so obsessed with Cyrus, you guys. I think she is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely stunning. She actually had a private Gucci party in Los Angeles for her Gucci, what's that fragrance, like the famous one? Lana Del Rey had it too. Gucci Flora, I think that's what it's called. She had this Gucci X Miley Cyrus party. You guys, she looked absolutely fantastic. The era of Miley Cyrus, I've been saying, is here. Apparently she's performing at the Super Bowl, but her creative direction and image is fantastic right now. Her last album, what was it called? Never Ending Summer Party or whatever, or March Madness or something. I don't know, what was it called? Her album was so good. For that album cycle, she had this whole like Saint Laurent vibe, and she was wearing like the slingbacks, like the sexy little mini dresses, just like out on the streets of her like super posh neighborhood in Los Angeles. It was giving like wearing a Saint Laurent dress straight off the rack from the boutique at like 4:30 p.m. having drinks in like your mansion in Beverly Hills. Like that's what it was giving. And I think there's a very specific sensual, ultra luxurious scene in Los Angeles where people actually live like this. And I think it's that superstardom that Miley Cyrus is going for, and like I'm so obsessed with her. Like, and now that she's kind of stepped away from Saint Laurent, she actually said in an interview that she was like, I can't tour this album because I'm not going to be wearing all these Saint Laurent looks out of a suitcase. These looks don't travel. Like, these looks were bought off the rack. They're going on the rack in my closet, and I'm going to wear them once at 4:30 singing in like my backyard. Literally so obsessed. But she has great image direction. She has great image direction, especially with Gucci right now. Sabato De Sarno, Gucci's creative director, seems to love her, and I'm so here for it. She wore one of the runway looks last night. It was just like a slinky little black dress with like the huge Gucci necklace, and I was like living for it, you guys. It was absolutely amazing. I think Miley Cyrus is one of those great icons of our generation that like, I think she's honest. I think we're like the same age, me and Miley Cyrus. I think we're both like under our 30s right now, and she is just absolutely killing it. Like, there's no one doing it like her with such a great voice, such great personality, so funny, so like has such great personality that when you like meet her, you're just like, you're like obsessed with her because she's one of those people that's like an anomaly. And I'm so here for this kind of new Gucci direction. I think it like totally suits her. I think Sabato really wants that kind of Gucci woman to be very sensual, very free, very caring, just like wants to go to a party and dance. I mean, I know Sabato on Instagram is always consistently at like parties or for these like Gucci events, and even for the cruise show in London. He like went to the after party by himself and he was like partying with everybody. It's just like a vibe. Someone else I think that has great image direction who is also helped by a stylist is Jennifer Lawrence. So, you know, Jennifer Lawrence was once the #1 A-list movie actress in the world, and now she's a little bit like pared down. Also, not only is it just maybe not picking the right movies, but also it's just average like misogyny. I think culture, and especially movie stars, like kind of like Salma Hayek is a big example like that as well. Culture kind of seems to eat them up and then chew them out. And it's like, okay, you went from being 21. I think Jennifer Lawrence won, when she was 21 years old, she won an Oscar for, like, was it the football movie or something? Maybe when they give Sandra Bullock. Anyway, she was like 21, and now that she's like 27, 28, having a kid, they're just like, we don't want you. We're on to like the next younger thing. But I think Jennifer Lawrence has handled it with such grace, and her style right now is so cool. Again, I'm giving her flowers because I think her style is pretty similar to mine. She's just wearing a lot of the Row, wearing a lot of the Kate, kind of this really cool minimalist vibe. And she lives in New York, and that kind of vibe looks really cool when you're like, I don't know where she lives, but she kind of gives that kind of like East Village vibe, like ultra rich, like taking my dogs out for a walk. And she was one of the early contenders to wear the Margot bag. I remember this, I literally have this picture ingrained in my brain, this like street style shot of her in like 2022. And I think it was like in fall of 2022, and she had the Margot, and she had this like the Row trench coat on with like loose trousers. It was such a vibe. Absolutely love it. I think Jennifer Lawrence is like killing it right now, and I actually enjoyed her last movie, the funny one. What's it called? No Hard Feelings or whatever. It was, I would, we're not at the culture part of the podcast yet, but I would recommend to go see it. It's actually like such a good movie. All right, let's get into the Mowalola tea. So, if you're into fashion, then you probably already know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to explain it to you guys. So Mowalola, she's an independent designer from London. She works with Kanye West right now. If you guys have seen the Wet Tank, you either are saying thanks to her or blaming her for that, because that has gone super viral. But she's known for being a little bit of an edgelord on Twitter. And this week she just posted some picture, it was really corny, if I'm gonna be honest, some picture like in support of Trump or whatever, and then it was this whole like Twitter thing. Here's my thing, I think this like era of fashion people being like edgelords, like Elena Velez, who else can I think of? I think this kind of like quirky, like I'm not gonna clutch my pearls and I'm gonna believe this because nobody else is believing it. So it's like a little bit of that shock value. To me, it is a little bit lame. And I just think it's funny that in fashion, we tend to kind of pick and choose when we can deter from someone's personal life when they're designing at a brand. For example, Karl Lagerfeld, he was famous for being fatphobic. He was famous for being rude. He was made Adele almost cry, didn't hear, or something like that. So, but then everybody always loved him. And when he went out in like these celebrity spaces, he was adored. And John Galliano, for what he said, Vogue is kind of pushing him back into the spotlight. Even on the Margiela Instagram, they just posted a video of John Galliano going to a school, and like it was very like, hello fashion students, I'm John Galliano, and here is how you make a dress. And it was very like the presidential visit. It was very like the president visit kids and reads to them. You know what I mean? It's kind of that like public positivity of public relations that they're trying to do. But we don't show that same grace for Mowalola, even though I think what she did is really lame. Honestly, that's all I can say. It's corny and it's lame. And I think being edgelord and trying to be quirky for like believing in these things that like everybody should know that we shouldn't is really lame to me. I mean, for the most part, I haven't been a big fan of Mowalola's collections. She shows in London. I am always here to support a independent designer, and you know, I think someone doing it on their own, like her story is so cool. I think her mom was famous on TV in Nigeria, and then I think her dad is also famous or something like that. And then she kind of just like made this fashion label and started working with Kanye West, who personally I'm not a big fan of to begin with. So like this whole wet tank situation, I see that you gotta make your money. I think I went on the website and the tank, she made a new version of it, and the tank is like $76 Canadian. It's seen everywhere on Instagram, so I mean, you guys do the math. 1,000 tanks sold times for $76. We can kind of do the math for how much she's making on that, but I just think it's a very tricky subject, and I think we should maybe hold every designer on the same level. I mean, she's a woman of color, so like, obviously she's always gonna be the most scrutinized versus John Galliano, who is like so clearly being pushed by Vogue. And I'm not even a big fan of John Galliano to begin with. Like, I don't gag for the Margiela. Like, I like MM6, and I do like the clothing that goes to retail for Margiela. You know, the last collection that went viral with the whole glass makeup. Was that gagging? No, I don't really care, to be quite honest. Like, to me, I'm very realistic when it comes to my fashion, and I want to see it like on the rack, and I want to be able to wear it. And couture doesn't do that for me. I just think it's like, when I saw this whole Mowalola thing on Twitter, I just noticed it and I was like, I just like, yes, it was corny. I also just want everybody to be aware of what we're doing to these designers. And to be honest, the worst one is Elena Velez. So if we can drop anybody, it should be Elena Velez, because her statements they're just lame, and your clothing is not that good for you to be acting like that. So, I mean, have I been a little controversial here? Probably, but it's just interesting to talk about. And I think, especially in the fashion space, a lot of people don't maybe mention that, but I just thought, you know, seeing this on Twitter, I saw it and I was like, that's like pretty interesting, you know? Okay, let's keep it moving here, guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying. Make sure you guys are dropping a like and a comment on the video. Let me know what you think. Obviously, let me know your thoughts on all these topics. Okay, let's get into Ferragamo. So I have seen recently, I haven't seen many reports, but I can just kind of already tell. The Ferragamo situation. So we know that Maximilian Davis has been at Ferragamo for, I think, maybe close to 2 to 3 years now, and it hasn't really been kicking off. I know that a lot of the Instagram people that I follow, a lot of the fashion people, receive gifting for it for quite a few times for it, but I'm always a contender of saying that if I don't see anybody on the street wearing your stuff, it doesn't exist. And this is a big part of, you know, we are always seeing Miu Miu on the street. We're always seeing Prada. I always see Celine on the street. all the time because these brands are being worn in real life. And I think even when you are doing a lot of gifting and people still aren't wearing it on the street, it's not really working. I haven't been a huge fan of Ferragamo to begin with. In fact, if I'm being honest, I actually quite dislike Ferragamo quite strongly. I don't think Maximilian Davis's talent is suited for Ferragamo. I think he's a really great alum of Central St. Martin's, but I think his talent is being wasted at a brand that will never ever be cared for, like how people care about Celine and Eddie Simon. You know? What I mean by that is that because the heritage of Ferragamo is so rooted in history and this kind of like family dynamic that it's never going to be cool for anybody to be wearing Ferragamo. If I wore Ferragamo out of the street, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, like I'm flexing Ferragamo. Ferragamo is not one of those brands that you can go to the club and flex in because there's nothing cool about Ferragamo. You know what I mean? And I think they hired Maximilian, who is such a cool talent. Do I love his collections for the most part? No, I do actually think they look quite like Bottega. But for the most part, his collections are okay. I just don't think that they should be used for Ferragamo. I think he should either have his own label, or I also think that he should be taking care of a younger, cooler brands like Coperni. I think he would kill it at Pucci, you guys, and I think Pucci has no creative director for like the past 2 years. I genuinely think Maximilian would do wonders at Pucci because he has this kind of like cutting edge for tailoring and luxury that a smaller brand like Pucci or, you know, those kind of brands like kind of needs. I mean, depending on how much you're paying him or how much they don't really care to kind of, I feel like Ferragamo are just kind of coasting by because at the end of the day, their loyal clientele are just there for like the shoes and like the belts and such. I think if we're being fair, there's nowhere really to go but up because Ferragamo is just so irrelevant right now in the luxury fashion space. So I think I'm not envious of Maximilian's job at all. I think he has like a lot of work cut out for him. I haven't really seen the stores changing. I know that they changed the packaging for the bags. So do I really see a huge overhaul of the brand overall? Not really. So I think it's interesting to watch. I do kind of, for the most part, feel like a little bad for him just because I feel like he has a lot of work on his hands. And it doesn't really seem like it's like kicking off at all. I think he's made some really great shoes. I know that like little wooden wedge kind of looks like a John Vito Rossi wedge. I know that's kind of popped off, but yeah, I would not be jealous of Maximilian Davis right now. Let's get into some more celebrity talking. So let's talk about Sydney Sweeney overload. You guys, like she's probably behind me right now. Like Sydney Sweeney, do you guys remember like a year and a half ago when she like made this like variety interview where she was like, I'm poor and I can't afford my house payments. Baby, you would promote the opening of an envelope down the street if they paid you $100,000 to do it. Like, let's cut the BS. Should we count on one hand all the products that she's promoting? So we have Miu Miu, we have Kerastase, we have Jimmy Choo. There's like another hairline that she's doing right now. And then, frick, I don't really remember anything else. Well, that's already 4 things that billboards that every time I look, if I took the bus every day, I'm sure I'd see your face every day because your billboard would be on the side of the bus. And I get it. I guess Sydney Sweeney is pretty A-list, you know? Like, I get it. You want to elevate your brand and you do this by, I think Samsung. Let's not worry about Samsung, girl. If she needed to, like, if like a car died and she needed to, like, put it back on, she would use her Samsung and connect it, like, trust me, she is everywhere. And I get it, like you're trying to be an A-list celebrity, which I think for the most part you are kind of an A-list celebrity right now. And it's kind of been done by force. Like I see you everywhere and I just wonder like so I see you everywhere, but you've done 1 movie in the last 2 years. Like we need to kind of make this make sense. And I feel like you should be working more. I mean, the last movie that they did with Glenn Powell, like the romantic comedy, apparently popped off and was like 180% profit because it was like cheap to produce and it like popped off. So I'm just like a little bit, I'm Sweeney fatigued. I'm fatigued of Sweeney. Does that make any sense? Girl, I see your face everywhere I go. If like, I can't even make more jokes about it because like you guys, I've like run dry of it. But are we not fatigued of Sydney Sweeney? I mean, I think I want a Samsung deal. Are you kidding me? This is filmed on an iPhone. Samsung calls me tomorrow. The phone's going out the window. I would love a Samsung deal, absolutely. Miu Miu, of course. Miu Miu, like, is one of those coolest, like, it is the coolest fashion brand out right now. Kerastase, I don't really wash my hair, so, like, I wash my hair, like, once a week, so, like, would I promote, like, Kerastase? Probably not. And then these, like, random beauty. Wasn't she doing another lip line or something? I swear she did, like, Laneige or something like that. But it's, like, I'm sure your house payments are paid through, girl, up until, like, $20.95. Okay, like, let's be serious. Okay, fashion campaigns. So if you are a kid growing up in fashion, you obviously grew up like reading fashion magazines like I did. And I remember I would be always so excited for September. I was a little kid going to the bookstore and getting the September issue of Vogue, like the huge little magazine that was like when like magazines were actually selling. So they actually had like a lot of advertisement, and September issues were always the coolest for me because the campaigns, the fresh campaigns would be in the magazines, and I'm so obsessed with it. And I just want to go back to us being excited about campaigns now. And like Prada just released their Prada campaign for fall winter 2024, and it's like released on Instagram. It's like a reel, and it's like it doesn't have the same effect of like going into like your local magazine shop and buying the magazine and flipping the page and like who paid the most to be the first ad. Like usually it was Louis Vuitton or Chanel. It just doesn't have the effect anymore, and it makes me a little sad because I used to go on Tumblr and repost all the like sick fashion campaigns. And I remember Miu Miu would always get like in trouble. Do you guys remember when Haley Steinfeld, when she was like 13, she did that Miu Miu campaign where she was like on the train tracks and people were like outraged because she was an underage girl. And then they also did the same thing with Elle Fanning, and she was in this campaign that was like very suggestive and people were in outrage. We aren't outraged by campaigns anymore. Like it's just so boring now. It just like goes on Twitter and it's like, it's so lame. These fashion brands like on Twitter, like Prada will tweet like, Hunter Schafer is divine reading a book for Prada Fall Winter 24. It like doesn't have the effect anymore, and it just like makes me sad. And I wish print wasn't dying. And now that with AI is like ruining everything, honestly at this point, if AI can film this for me, I would get AI to film it. But it's just like sad. It's like I wish for us to really like care about fashion campaigns, and it makes me sad. And I remember I can just count on my finger how many cool fashion campaigns there were. Like Marc Jacobs Fall 2012 campaign by Jürgen Teller is one of my favorite fashion campaigns ever. The Prada Spring 2012, the car one where they're at the gas station, so iconic. And now we are just seeing fashion campaigns. And like a lot of brands don't even bother. Like I know like Celine, they don't really do campaigns. Like Eddie Simon will just kind of like hire a few models, take pictures of them in the collection, and that's what you see at the bus stop. I don't think Chanel really does fashion campaigns anymore. I know that like, the supermarket Chanel collection with Cara Delevingne where she's boxing. So iconic, you guys, so iconic. And like, it just makes me sad, really. Like, I wonder if fashion going so digital is kind of just losing the allure of fashion, really. Like, for like example, you guys know the app Little Red Book. It's like a Chinese focused social media. It's kind of like TikTok and like Instagram where you can post pictures, and now like there'll be a collection and people will go to the previews at the boutique and everything will go live like just weeks after the runway show, and then you see the pieces up close. And it's just like not exciting because like you used to be able to go into the store when the new collection dropped and it was exciting. And not that I would, because I'm not like a shopper like that. I'm not like a big shopper like that, but stores would have these VIC events to show the new collection, and it was just like a vibe. It was a vibe. And fashion's no longer a vibe, I feel like, you know? It is time for Tomás's Cultural Roundup of the week. So this is everything that I'm loving, from music, TV shows to movies. Everything that I've been enjoying this week, I want to share with you guys, and because I have the best taste, to be quite honest. So anything that I share is Tomás approved. Starting with Longlegs. I went to go see it last week, and what did I think? So I'm going to try and be really careful because I don't want to spoil it, because it's only been in theaters, I think, for like a week from uploading this, and I absolutely do think that you need to go see it. I personally love horror movies. I think horror movies are like my favorite genre of movie, other than like a comedy thriller kind of movie to go watch. I have to say I did love it. Did I expect to see what I saw? Most definitely not. Do I think it's a great movie. Yes, I do. And I think Micah Monroe and Nicolas Cage are absolutely electric in it. I think this movie does a really good job of putting you in the middle of the world of that movie, and you can't leave until the movie is over. And it's a really, really good movie. There are a few mishaps, especially near the end, where you're kind of like lost and you're a little bit confused, but it's a really great movie, guys. I would recommend to go see it. If you are worried about seeing it and being scared, I would not be that worried. And that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil it. But it was a great movie. I would 100% go see it. It's a really, really great movie. And just Micah Monroe is such a star. And I saw her in It Follows, also a really great horror movie. And she's like the really, really great scream queen. And I love her. I think she's great. I would recommend to go see it. Trust me, if you're worried about being scared, I wouldn't be too worried about it, and that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, Real Housewives of Orange County. Last week I told you guys to tune in. We are only on the second episode this week, and it's really, really great. But they released, so if you don't know the Housewives lore, every season they have the taglines, and it's like a little cheeky thing about their life and about the season. And it is my favorite thing about a season opening because we see the taglines for that season. So the Orange County ones just came out, so I thought we would do a little review of them together. I think I'm gonna do this for like every Housewives premiere and just rate the taglines because I just think it's so fun. And if you're into Housewives, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And if you're not, honestly, just keep watching because I'm going to be teaching you, and it's just like fun. It's just like a little fun thing to do. But let's go through the season 18 taglines and review them. Heather Dubrow's is, just because I drink from a flute doesn't mean you can play me. So Heather Dubrow, if you watch the show, she's actually wealthy, like wealthy. If she wanted to like end hunger, she probably could do it. I think she has like a house in Malibu. No, she has a house in Beverly Hills that's worth like $80 million. And then she also has a house in Orange County that's worth like $34 million. And then her penthouse in downtown Los Angeles is worth like $10 million. I fully just made those numbers up, but this girl is wealthy. When I mean wealthy, this girl is wealthy beyond wealthy. So when she says, just because I drink from a flute, I think it's pretty on brand for her because I know she drinks Moët for breakfast out of a flute. I'm kind of over the taglines now. I feel like when we're on season 18, we're kind of like, just because I do this doesn't mean that I do this. Like, you know what I mean? We're kind of running out of ideas. And do I think this tagline is very on brand for Heather? And I love Heather Dubrow. Yes. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Shannon Storms Bedore. Okay, so I have to preface this tagline. So her middle name is Storms, and Shannon's whole storyline this season is that she got hit with a DUI, and she's having trouble taking accountability for it because some of the castmates say that she has an alcoholic problem, or not alcoholic, she just has like a drinking problem. So that's the context of the tagline. Her tagline is, even in the harshest of times, this Storms will always weather it. I love that. That is so clever. I know she did not write that herself, but I'm going to give her credit. I absolutely love it. Her last name or middle name is Storms, and I love the kind of like, oh, we'll always weather the storm. Like, I'm going to push through, even though it was my fault that I got the DUI, but like still. Like, we love a comeback story, you guys. We love like an underdog story, and I give this like an 8.5 out of 10. When I saw this, I gagged. I love it. It's so clever, and I love when they mix their storylines or their personal stories into the tagline. I think it's like really clever. Let's go to my favorite tagline of the season, Emily Simpson. Emily Simpson has low-key been like an MVP of Orange County. I know she kind of had like a bad start and people were calling her like boring or just very like non-entertaining, but I think she's kind of warmed up and she's kind of like the funny character of the cast. So she used to be a lawyer. That's a pre-context. I used to question people for a living. Now I just do it for fun. Obsessed, because one of my toxic traits is that when I'm at dinner or something with my friends, and I'm always like, would you date this kind of person? And I'm always like trying to like, stir up trouble as like a joke. So when this tagline says like, I used to question people for a living, now I just do it for fun. Like, I swear I do it for fun. Like, I question people for fun because I just think it's so funny. This wins the official best tagline of the season for me. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Gina Kirstenheiter is, so she's a realtor. I find this one a little too literal. Like the properties I represent, I know my worth. It's too easy. It's too easy and it's too literal, so I don't love it. So I'm gonna give this one a 6 out of 10. Katie Janella, she is the newbie on the cast, and we haven't really gotten to know her, so I'm assuming she plays golf, or maybe her husband plays golf, because her tagline is, when you live your life on the green, envy is just par for the course. I don't really play golf, so I don't really know what this means, but I know it means like, actually, I don't really know what it means. So like, but I do love Katie. I think she's gorgeous. I think she's going to be a really strong addition. So I give this like 6 out of 10. Jennifer Pedrante's whole thing is that she's a yoga teacher. I think these storylines are really, really literal, too literal, and it's like not really working sometimes. Jennifer Pedrante's is, people bend over backwards to get me and their form is terrible. I don't like that. Also, Ramona Singer from Real Housewives of New York did this already. She said, or like, what was it? Now it's escaping me. It was very similar. It was like, Kenya Moore even did it. She's like, people go crazy trying to figure me out and I just let them. And then Ramona's was, if you don't like me, or like acquire some taste. So like this has been done before, so I don't like it at all. I give it a strong 4 out of 10. And then Tamra Judge, who is the villain of the TV show, hers is, the only thing stuck up about me is my middle finger. You know what? This is so on brand for Tamra, because one thing about her, she'll give you the middle finger. This is okay. I mean, I feel like Tamra's is better. I remember when Tamra's one time was friends, family, and something F are all the Fs I give. Like, you know, she's been better on her game with the taglines, and she's been like a little bit more clever. So maybe I give this like a 7 out of 10. Anyway, so those are the taglines for this season of Orange County. I highly recommend that you watch it. It's a great TV show, you guys. It's really, really good, and I'm not just saying that. And I am a Housewives fanatic, but this I think anybody could get into. So I hope you guys really do watch it. Let's get into the music of the week. I like to think that I have excellent music taste, because I actually really do, and I have really great indie music taste. But this week, Meghan Trainor, she got me, gal. She got me. Her song, Evil Twin, that's my evil twin. Like, I'm on the treadmill, and I'll just be like repeating that. I'll be like, that's my evil twin. Like, I love it. One thing about Meghan Trainor, she can write a good hook, you guys. Like, let's give her flowers. I know every song sounds the same. Like the I Am Your Mother song, I'm like side-eyeing. But like when she does a hit, you guys. So good. The Phoenix album that came out like 2 years ago, it's called Alpha Zulu. It's a great album. If you like that kind of glossy guitar French pop, you will love this album. I'm obsessed with it. I was listening to Alpha Zulu on repeat today, like literally on repeat. Like on the train to work, and I think it's like a 35-minute train ride. On repeat, the song's like 2 minutes. I probably listened to it like 20 times. Who's the lead? Thomas Sars. He's married to Charlotte Gainsbourg. He's the lead singer and writes all the music for Phoenix, and he can just write a mean verse. So catchy, so modern, but still kind of has that vintage edge to it. Best songs on the album are All Eyes on Me, Alpha Zulu, Artifact, and The Only One. I love, one of my favorite genres in music is this synthy, glossy, rock star pop, and bands like Franz Ferdinand. I feel like Arctic Monkeys kind of did that for like a little bit, but Phoenix are the top contender for this, and I absolutely love it. For the summer, it's really nice if you're going for like a long walk, but you want to feel inspired and you want to feel like that energy, that party energy. It's not necessarily going to the club, but it's just that like if I was on vacation on like an island and I was going for dinner, I would put this on and it would just like, it would be inspiring, you know? Well, that wraps up episode 2 of T With Tomás, the only fashion podcast on the internet that is made this unprofessionally, I would say, innit? So like, I hope you guys really enjoy this episode. I'm gonna wait to upload these before I make any more, because if you guys really hate it, then like we gotta call it quits. But let me know what you guys thought of this. I feel like on this episode it was like a little bit more conjoined and I made a little bit more sense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think, and then I will maybe not see you next week because there hasn't really been much going on in fashion, and I think I've kind of exhausted all the topics, but I will definitely see you in at least 2 weeks. Otherwise, stay tuned for the regular uploads on Wednesdays. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next podcast episode. Bye.